The training hall of the Galactic Military Academy was huge. It was the size of 10 football fields put together. The ceiling was so high that clouds sometimes formed near the top. Students from 40 different alien species stood in neat rows on the polished metal floor. Instructor Vexlar walked slowly in front of them. He was a Corinth, a species that looked like a mix between a lizard and a bear. He stood 8 feet tall. His scales were dark green, and his eyes were yellow with black slits. He had trained soldiers for over 200 years. "Today," Vexlar said in his deep voice, "we begin weapons training." The students stood straight. Some of them were excited. Others were nervous. This was the moment they had been waiting for. In the back row, a human woman stood quietly. Her name was Elena Chen. She was 24 years old. She had short black hair and brown eyes. She was not tall. She was not big. Compared to most of the aliens around her, she looked small and weak. Elena was the only human in this class. In fact, she was one of only 12 humans who had ever been accepted into the Galactic Military Academy. Humans had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago. They were still considered a young and primitive species. "Weapons are the soul of a warrior," Vexlar continued. He walked to a large rack on the wall. The rack held hundreds of weapons, swords, axes, spears, and many other things that Elena did not recognize. "Each species has its strengths," the instructor said. "The Corinth are strong. We use heavy weapons." He picked up a massive battle axe with one hand. It looked like it weighed as much as Elena herself. "The Valari are fast." He pointed to a group of thin, blue-skinned aliens. "They use light blades and strike quickly." "The Gorthax have 4 arms." He gestured to some large gray creatures. "They can hold shields and weapons at the same time." Vexlar put down the axe and looked at the class. "But there is one rule that applies to all species. One truth that has been tested for thousands of years." He paused for effect. "No species can dual-wield effectively in combat." Elena raised an eyebrow. She had heard this before. It was one of the first things they taught at the academy. Dual-wielding meant holding a weapon in each hand. According to galactic military science, it was impossible to do well. "The brain cannot process 2 weapons at once," Vexlar explained. "Your arms will fight each other. Your movements will be slow and clumsy. Every species that has tried has failed. The Corinth tried. The Valari tried. Even the 4-armed Gorthax cannot truly dual-wield. They use 2 arms for weapons and 2 for defense, but they cannot attack with all 4 at the same time." A Valari student raised his hand. "Instructor, what about the legends? The old stories talk about warriors who could use 2 blades." Vexlar made a sound like a laugh. "Legends are just stories. In real combat, against a trained enemy, dual-wielding will get you killed. Your attacks will be weak. Your defense will have holes. A single-weapon fighter will always win." Elena listened carefully. She did not say anything. But inside her mind, she was thinking. Back on Earth, she had trained in many martial arts. She had learned kendo, the Japanese way of the sword. She had studied eskrima, the Filipino art of stick and blade fighting. And in eskrima, dual-wielding was not just possible, it was common. She remembered her old teacher, Master Santos. He was an old man with white hair and hands that moved like water. He could use 2 sticks or 2 knives at the same time. His movements were beautiful and deadly. The secret, Master Santos had told her once, is not to think of 2 weapons. Think of one system. Your arms are not separate. They are partners in a dance. Elena had trained for years. She had practiced until her arms moved without thinking, until the 2 weapons became one flowing motion. But she stayed quiet. She had learned that in the galactic community, humans were not respected. They were seen as weak, primitive, and young. If she spoke up now, the others would laugh at her. Now, Vexlar said, each of you will choose a weapon. You will train with this weapon for the next 6 months. Choose carefully. This weapon will become part of you. The students walked toward the weapon racks. The big species went first. They pushed past the smaller ones. Elena waited patiently. A Gorthax named Thren walked past her. He looked down at her with all 4 of his eyes. Little human, he said, maybe you should choose a knife. Something small for someone small. Elena just smiled and said nothing. When most of the students had chosen, Elena walked to the rack. She looked at the weapons carefully. There were swords of all sizes. Some were curved, some were straight. Some had 1 edge, some had 2. Her eyes stopped on a pair of short swords. They were about 2 feet long each. They had straight blades and simple handles. They looked almost like the swords used in Eskrima training. Elena reached out and picked up both swords, 1 in each hand. The training hall went quiet. Vexlar turned around. His yellow eyes locked onto Elena. He walked toward her with heavy steps that shook the floor. Human, he said, did you not hear what I said? No species can dual-wield. Elena looked up at the massive instructor. He was more than twice her height. His teeth were sharp. His claws could cut through metal. Every instinct told her to be afraid. But Elena Chen had grown up on Earth. She had survived things that would break most people. She had fought in underground tournaments. She had trained until her bones cracked and healed stronger. She was not easily scared. I heard you, instructor, she said calmly. Then put 1 sword back. Elena tilted her head slightly. Instructor, may I ask a question? Vexlar's eyes narrowed. What? You said no species can dual-wield, but have humans ever tried? In your academy, I mean. Has a human ever been tested? The instructor paused. He thought about it. No, he admitted. Humans are new to the galaxy. None have reached this level of training before you. Elena nodded. She adjusted her grip on the 2 swords. They felt good in her hands. They felt right. Then with respect, instructor, she said, how do you know humans cannot do it? Vexlar stared at her for a long moment. The other students watched in silence. No one had ever talked back to Vexlar before. You think you are special? The instructor asked. You think humans are better than species that have been fighting for thousands of years? No, sir, Elena said. I do not think I am special. I just think that maybe you have not seen everything yet. Vexlar made a low growling sound. Then slowly his mouth curved into something like a smile. Very well, human. Keep your 2 swords. But when you fail, you will clean the training hall for a month. Do you accept? Elena smiled back. I accept. She did not know it yet, but this moment would change everything. Not just for her. Not just for humans, but for the entire galaxy. The next few weeks were hard for Elena. The other students did not like her. They thought she was arrogant. They thought she was stupid for trying something that everyone knew was impossible. During meals, she sat alone. During rest periods, no one talked to her. The Gorthax named Thren made fun of her whenever he could. Look at the little human, he would say to his friends. She thinks she can do what the great warriors of history could not. She will fail. They always fail. Elena ignored him. She had faced worse things than mean words. Every day, she woke up early. She went to the training hall before anyone else. She practiced with her 2 swords in the empty room. At first, even she had doubts. The swords were different from the sticks and knives she had used on Earth. They were heavier. The balance was different. Her old movements did not work exactly right. But Elena was patient. She adjusted. That was what humans did best. She remembered what her father had told her before she left Earth. Elena, in this galaxy, we are the newcomers. We are the underdogs. But that is our strength. We have nothing to lose and everything to prove. Show them what humans can do. So she trained harder than anyone else. While others slept, she practiced. While others rested, she ran through her forms again and again. Vexlar watched her sometimes. He stood in the shadows and observed. Elena knew he was there, but she pretended not to notice. The instructor was curious about her. He had seen many students over the years. Most of them gave up when things got hard. Most of them complained when they failed. But this human was different. She never complained. She just kept working. One morning, Vexlar approached her during her early practice. "Human," he said. "Elena, may I ask you something?" Elena stopped her movement. Sweat dripped down her face. "Yes, instructor." "Why do you try so hard? You know the odds are against you. You know that every species before you has failed. Why do you keep going?" Elena thought about the question. She wiped her forehead with her sleeve. "On my planet," she said, "there is an old story. A man wanted to cut down a tree. The tree was huge. People said it was impossible. But the man took his axe and hit the tree once. Then he hit it again. Then again. Every day he hit the tree. After 1 year, the tree fell." Vexlar tilted his head. "That is a simple story." "Simple stories often have the deepest truth," Elena said. "I do not need to be special. I do not need to be the best. I just need to keep trying. One day, something will change." The instructor was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "There is something I have not told you," he said. "I have lived for over 200 years. I have trained thousands of students. And I have seen 3 students try to dual-wield. All of them failed. But none of them practiced like you do. None of them had your dedication." He paused. His yellow eyes looked into hers. "I do not think you will succeed," he said honestly. "But I respect your effort. If any species could surprise me, perhaps it would be yours. Humans are strange. You are weak and small, but you do not give up easily." Elena smiled. "Thank you, instructor. That means a lot." After that day, things changed slightly. Vexlar did not help her directly. That would not be fair to the other students. But he stopped ignoring her. Sometimes he gave her small tips. Sometimes he pointed out mistakes in her form. The other students noticed. Some of them were angry. They thought the instructor was showing favoritism to the human. But others started to watch Elena with new eyes. There was a Volari named Kira. She was tall and thin, with blue skin and silver hair. She was one of the best students in the class. Her speed with a single blade was amazing. One day, Kira sat next to Elena during lunch. This surprised everyone, including Elena. "You train very hard," Kira said. Her voice was soft like music. "I have to," Elena replied. "I am not naturally talented like you." Kira shook her head. "Talent is nothing without work. I have seen talented people fail because they did not try. And I have seen ordinary people succeed because they never stopped trying. You are the second type." Elena felt warmth in her chest. "Thank you. That is the nicest thing anyone has said to me here." "May I ask you something?" Kira said. "Of course. Where did you learn to move like that? With the 2 swords? It is not random. There is a system, a method. I can see it, even though I do not understand it." Elena nodded. "On Earth, we have many different ways of fighting. Some of them use 2 weapons. I learned from old masters who spent their whole lives studying these methods." Kira's silver eyes widened. "Your species has dual-wielding techniques? Real ones? That have been tested?" "In our history, yes. For hundreds of years, maybe thousands." "But why did you not tell the instructor this?" Elena shrugged. "Would he believe me? Would anyone? Humans are new here. We have no reputation. If I told them that humans can do something that everyone else has failed at, they would laugh. They would think I am lying or crazy." Kira nodded slowly. She understood. "So instead of talking, you are showing." "Exactly. Words mean nothing. Results mean everything." From that day, Kira and Elena became friends. They trained together sometimes. Kira helped Elena understand galactic combat techniques. Elena showed Kira some basic Earth movements. They learned from each other. The weeks turned into months. Elena kept improving. Her dual wielding became smoother. Her attacks became faster. Her defense became tighter. The other students could not deny what they were seeing. The human was getting better. She was not perfect yet. She still made mistakes. But she was improving faster than anyone expected. One day, Thren the Gorthax confronted Elena in the hallway. "Human," he growled. He blocked her path with his massive body. "You think you are impressing people, but you are not. You are still weak. You will never be a real warrior." Elena looked up at him calmly. He had 4 arms. Each arm was as thick as her whole body. He could crush her without trying. "Maybe you're right," she said, "but I would rather fail while trying than succeed at nothing." Thren's 4 eyes narrowed. "You have a smart mouth. One day, it will get you hurt." "Maybe," Elena agreed, "but not today." She walked around him and continued down the hallway. Thren watched her go. His hands were clenched into fists. He did not like this human. He did not like how she made him feel. She was small and weak, but she was not afraid of him. That bothered him more than he wanted to admit. The 6-month training period was almost over. Soon, there would be tests. The students would have to prove what they had learned. Elena knew that the tests would be her moment of truth. Either she would show everyone that humans could dual-wield, or she would fail and clean the training hall for a month. Either way, she was ready. She had trained harder than anyone in her life. She had pushed her body to its limits. She had practiced until her arms felt like they would fall off, and then she practiced more. Now she just had to wait for her chance to prove herself. That chance was coming sooner than she thought. The day of the combat tests arrived. The training hall was filled with more people than Elena had ever seen. Not just students, but instructors from other departments, military officers with medals on their chests, even some politicians and reporters. Apparently, news had spread. Everyone wanted to see the human who claimed she could dual-wield. Elena stood with the other students. She wore simple training clothes. Her 2 swords hung at her sides. She felt nervous, but she did not show it. She kept her face calm. Vexlar stood at the front of the hall. His voice boomed across the room. "Today you will prove what you have learned. Each student will fight 3 matches. You must show skill, technique, and control. Killing is not allowed, but injuries may happen. Do you all understand?" "Yes, instructor," the students shouted together. "Good. The matches will begin. When your name is called, step forward." Elena watched the other students fight. They were good. The Volari were incredibly fast. The Gorthax were strong like mountains. The Corinth were powerful and smart. Kira fought beautifully. Her single blade moved like water. She won all 3 of her matches without getting touched once. The crowd cheered for her. Thren also won his matches. He used a heavy sword and a large shield. He was not fast, but he was strong. His opponents could not break through his defense. Finally, it was Elena's turn. "Elena Chen," Vexlar called. "Human, step forward." Elena walked to the center of the hall. She could feel hundreds of eyes on her. She heard whispers in the crowd. "That is the human? She is so small. She really has 2 swords. Is she crazy? This should be interesting." Her first opponent was a Corinth. He was young and eager. He carried a long spear. He smiled at Elena with sharp teeth. "I have been waiting for this," he said. "Everyone talks about the human who thinks she is special. Let me show you that you are nothing." Elena did not respond. She drew her 2 swords. She held them in a relaxed position. Her weight was balanced. Her breathing was slow. "Begin!" Vexlar shouted. The Corinth attacked immediately. His spear shot forward like a snake. It was fast and deadly. Elena moved. She did not block the spear directly. That would be stupid. The Corinth was much stronger than her. Instead, she stepped to the side. She used one sword to push the spear away. At the same time, her other sword came forward. The movement was smooth. It was natural. Her two arms worked together like parts of one machine. Her sword stopped 1 inch from the Corinth's throat. The hall was silent. The Corinth's eyes were wide with shock. He had not even seen her move. 1 second, his spear was going toward her. The next second, her blade was at his neck. "Point to Elena Chen," Vexlar announced. His voice was strange. He sounded surprised. The crowd exploded with noise. People talked and shouted. They could not believe what they had seen. Elena stepped back. She lowered her swords. The Corinth was still standing there, frozen. "How?" he whispered. "How did you do that?" Elena just smiled and returned to her position. Her second opponent was a Valari. This would be harder. The Valari were almost as fast as her, and they had more experience. This Valari was a male with dark blue skin. He held a thin, curved sword. He looked at Elena with respect. "You surprised everyone with your first match," he said. "You will not surprise me." "We will see," Elena replied. "Begin." This fight was different. The Valari was careful. He did not rush in like the Corinth. He circled around Elena, looking for openings. Elena circled too. They moved like two animals getting ready to fight. The Valari attacked first. His blade came from the left. It was fast, faster than anything Elena had faced before. She blocked with her right sword. The impact shook her arm, but she did not stop. Her left sword came around in a counterattack. The Valari blocked it. He was good. They exchanged blows. The crowd watched in amazement. This was not the clumsy dual-wielding that they had seen before. This was something new. Elena's two swords moved in patterns. They attacked and defended at the same time. The Valari was getting tired. He was fast, but he was using too much energy. Elena was more efficient. Her movements were smaller, tighter. She saw an opening. The Valari swung high. His body was exposed for just a moment. Elena did not attack with her swords. Instead, she kicked his leg. She stepped forward and crossed her blades at his neck, like scissors. "Point to Elena Chen," Vexlar announced. The crowd was going crazy now. Some people were standing up, some were shouting. This was impossible. This was incredible. Elena stepped back. Her arms were tired, but she did not show it. Her third opponent was Thren the Gorthax. Of course it was. Elena almost laughed. This felt like fate. Thren walked toward her slowly. His four arms each held a weapon, a sword, an axe, a shield, and a mace. He looked like a monster from a nightmare. "Finally," he said, "I have wanted to crush you since the first day. You are arrogant. You are weak. Today I will prove it." Elena raised her swords. "Then stop talking and prove it." Thren's four eyes burned with anger. He hated that she was not afraid. "Begin." Thren charged like a storm. His weapons came from all directions. The axe swung down. The sword came from the side. The mace aimed for her legs. Elena moved. She danced. There was no other word for it. She slipped between his attacks. Her body twisted and turned. She was like water flowing around rocks. But she could not attack. Thren was too big. He had too many weapons. Every time she tried to strike, his shield blocked her. The crowd held their breath. This was the real test. The Gorthax was the strongest species in the academy. Could a small human really beat him? Thren laughed. "You can dodge, but you cannot win. Sooner or later, you will get tired, and then I will break you." He was right. Elena knew it. She was faster, but he was stronger. If this became a long fight, she would lose. She needed to do something different. Elena thought about her training. She thought about Master Santos. She thought about all the techniques she had learned on Earth. There was one move. It was dangerous. It was risky. But it might work. She waited for the right moment. Thren swung his axe down with all his strength. It was meant to finish her. Elena did not dodge. Instead, she ran toward him. The crowd gasped. Elena slid under the axe. She went between Thren's legs. Before he could turn around, she jumped onto his back. Thren roared. He tried to reach her, but his arms could not bend that way. She was in his blind spot. Elena crossed her swords at his throat from behind. "Stop," she said calmly. Thren froze. He could feel the cold metal on his scales. "Point to Elena Chen," Vexlar announced. His voice was full of wonder. "Winner of all 3 matches, Elena Chen." The hall exploded. Everyone was shouting. Everyone was cheering. Even the people who had doubted her were on their feet. Elena climbed down from Thren's back. Her legs were shaking. Her arms felt like they were on fire. But she stood straight. She had proven that humans could dual-wield. Vexlar walked toward her. The giant Corinth stood in front of the small human. "I said no species could dual-wield," he said slowly. "You asked me to define cannot. I think you have given me your answer." He reached out and put his massive claw on her shoulder. It was almost gentle. "Well done, Elena Chen. Well done indeed." For the first time since coming to the academy, Elena felt like she truly belonged. News of Elena's victory spread across the galaxy like fire. Within days, everyone knew about the human who could dual-wield. Videos of her fights were watched billions of times. Her face appeared on news programs in 100 different star systems. Some people were amazed. They called her a genius, a revolutionary, a sign that humans were more advanced than anyone thought. Others were angry. They said it was a trick. They said the fights were fake. They said humans must have cheated somehow. The Galactic Military Council called an emergency meeting. They wanted to investigate. They wanted to understand how a young species could do something that ancient civilizations had failed at. Elena was summoned to the council hall. It was a massive building in the center of the galactic capital. Representatives from hundreds of species sat in a giant circular room. They all looked down at Elena, who stood alone in the middle. Admiral Zorn was the head of the council. He was a Zethari, a species that looked like tall, thick insects. His eyes were large and black. His voice clicked and buzzed when he spoke. "Elena Chen of Earth," he said, "you have caused quite a disturbance. The Academy reports that you demonstrated effective dual-wielding combat. This goes against everything we know about biology and warfare. How do you explain this?" Elena stood straight. She was nervous, but she had faced scarier things than old politicians. "Admiral, I do not know how to explain it scientifically," she said. "I only know that on Earth, we have been using 2 weapons in combat for thousands of years. It is not new to us. It is not special. It is simply part of our martial traditions." The council members murmured among themselves. A Corinth representative spoke up. "Thousands of years? That is impossible. Your species only achieved space travel recently. How could you have advanced combat techniques?" "With respect," Elena said, "combat does not require space travel. Humans have been fighting each other since before we built cities. We have had a long time to develop many different ways of fighting." "But the science is clear," said a Valari representative. "The brain cannot process 2 weapon inputs simultaneously. It creates confusion and delays reaction time." Elena nodded. "That is true if you think of 2 separate weapons. But what if you think of them as one system? What if you train your body so much that the movements become automatic? On Earth, we call this muscle memory. The brain does not need to think. The body knows what to do." The council was quiet. They had never considered this idea before. Admiral Zorn leaned forward. "Are you saying that any human can dual-wield? Or is this ability unique to you? I am not even the best dual wielder on Earth. There are masters who have trained for 50 years or more. They make me look like a beginner. Any human can learn this. It just takes time and practice. This caused an uproar. The council members shouted at each other. Some were excited. Some were worried. If what Elena said was true, it could change everything. A Gorthax representative stood up. He was huge, even by Gorthax standards. This is dangerous, he said. If humans have secret combat abilities, what else are they hiding? Perhaps they are a threat to the galaxy. Elena felt anger rise in her chest. She controlled it carefully. We are not hiding anything, she said. We are not a threat. We are just different. Every species is different. You say the Volari are fast, the Corinth are strong, the Gorthax have 4 arms. These are your natural gifts. Humans have our own gifts. We adapt. We learn. We do not give up. She looked around the room at all the alien faces watching her. You all have been traveling the stars for thousands of years, she continued. In that time, you have developed many amazing things. But maybe you also stopped trying new things. Maybe you decided that some things were impossible, so you stopped looking for solutions. Humans are new here. We have not learned what is impossible yet. So we try everything. The room was silent. Elena wondered if she had said too much. Admiral Zorn made a strange sound. It took Elena a moment to realize he was laughing. You are bold, young human, he said. Very bold. Perhaps too bold for your own good. He paused. But perhaps that boldness is exactly what the galaxy needs. He turned to the other council members. I propose a test. A real test. We will invite the best warriors from different species. They will fight against Elena Chen. If she can defeat them using her dual-wielding technique, we will accept that humans have something valuable to offer. If she fails, we will consider this matter closed. The council voted. The majority agreed. Elena felt her stomach drop. She had expected investigation. She had expected questions. She had not expected to fight the best warriors in the galaxy. When will this test happen? She asked. In 1 month, Admiral Zorn said. You will fight 5 champions, 1 from each of the 5 major species. If you win 3 out of 5 matches, you will be declared the victor. 1 month, 5 champions, 3 victories needed. It seemed impossible. But then again, so did dual-wielding. Elena returned to the academy. The news had already spread. Students surrounded her, asking questions. Even ones who had ignored her before now wanted to be her friend. Elena found a quiet corner and sat down. She needed to think. Kira found her there. The Volari sat down next to her without speaking. They sat in silence for a while. You are scared, Kira finally said. It was not a question. Yes, Elena admitted. The champions they will send are the best in the galaxy. They have been fighting for longer than humans have existed. How can I beat them? Kira nodded slowly. That is a good question. But let me ask you another one. When you first picked up those 2 swords, did you know you could beat Thren? Elena thought about it. No, I did not. But you tried anyway. Why? Because I wanted to prove something. To myself. To everyone. And did the doubts help you? Did worrying make you stronger? No, Elena admitted. The only thing that helped was training. Kira smiled. Then stop worrying. You have 1 month. Use it wisely. Train harder than you have ever trained. And when the day comes, do what you always do. Show them what humans can do. Elena looked at her friend. You make it sound simple. It is simple, Kira said. Simple does not mean easy, but it is simple. Elena took a deep breath. Kira was right. Worrying would not help. Only action would help. She stood up. Thank you, Kira. I have work to do. The next month was the hardest of Elena's life. She trained from before sunrise until after sunset. Vexlar helped her. Kira helped her. Even some other students offered to spar with her. She studied the 5 major species. She learned their fighting styles. She learned their weaknesses. She prepared strategies for each one. And when she had done everything she could, she did more. Because that was what humans did. The day of the test was coming. Elena was as ready as she would ever be. Now she just had to prove that one small human could stand against the champions of the galaxy. The arena was the largest Elena had ever seen. It was built on a moon that orbited the galactic capital. Through the transparent walls, she could see stars and distant planets. 10 billion viewers watched from across the galaxy. This was the most watched event in 100 years. Everyone wanted to see if the human could really do what she claimed. Elena stood at one end of the arena. Her 2 swords felt comfortable in her hands. They were old friends now. They were part of her. Admiral Zorn's voice echoed through the speakers. Today, we will witness something historic. Elena Chen of Earth will face 5 champions. She needs 3 victories to succeed. Let the trials begin. The first champion was a Valari named Soren. He was considered the fastest blade in the galaxy. He had won over 300 duels. He had never lost. Soren walked toward Elena with graceful steps. His sword was thin and light. It caught the light like a silver thread. I have studied your fights, he said. You are good, but you are not fast enough to beat me. Elena raised her swords. Then show me. The match started. Soren attacked like lightning. His blade came from everywhere at once. Elena could barely see it. She blocked and dodged, but she could not counter. He was too fast. She took a cut on her arm, then another on her leg. The crowd gasped. Blood appeared on her clothes. But Elena did not give up. She kept moving. She kept learning. She noticed something. Soren was fast, but he followed patterns. Left, right, left. High, low, high. His speed came from perfect technique. Perfect technique meant predictable technique. Elena waited. Soren attacked again with his pattern. Left, right, left. This time, Elena was ready. She blocked left and right with both swords. When Soren went left again, she was already moving. Her right sword caught his blade. Her left sword touched his chest. Point. Victory to Elena Chen. The crowd exploded. Soren stood frozen in shock. He had never been beaten before. Elena breathed hard. Her wounds hurt, but she had won. 1 down, 4 to go. The second champion was a Corinth general named Varn. He was old and experienced. He had fought in real wars. He had killed thousands. Varn did not talk. He just attacked with brutal strength. His heavy sword could cut through metal. Each blow shook Elena's whole body when she blocked. She could not beat him with strength. She could not beat him with speed. She had to beat him with intelligence. Elena let him push her back. She let him think he was winning. And while she retreated, she studied him. He had an old injury. His left knee was slightly weak. He favored his right side. Elena kept moving to his left. She made him put weight on his bad knee. After 10 minutes, Varn was slowing down. His knee was hurting. His attacks were getting sloppy. Elena struck. She dropped low and swept her swords at his legs. He stumbled. She jumped up and put her blade at his throat. Point. Victory to Elena Chen. 2 down, 3 to go. She needed only 1 more win. The third champion was a Zathari assassin. She moved like a shadow. Her blades were coated with poison. 1 cut would end the match. This fight was the hardest. The Zathari attacked from angles that should not be possible. Her body bent in ways that humans could not copy. Elena got cut twice. She felt the poison starting to work. Her muscles were getting slow. Her vision was getting blurry. But she remembered something. Zathari had excellent vision in the dark, but they were sensitive to bright light. Elena screamed. It was a loud, sharp sound. At the same time, she reflected light off her swords directly into the Zathari's eyes. The assassin flinched. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Elena's sword touched her neck. Point. Victory to Elena Chen. Elena Chen wins the trial, with 3 victories. The arena erupted. People were screaming. People were crying. People were hugging each other. Elena fell to her knees. The poison was making her sick. Medical teams rushed to help her, but she was smiling. She had done it. She had actually done it. The remaining 2 champions did not need to fight, but one of them, a Gorthax warlord, walked toward Elena. Elena looked up at him weakly. She expected anger. She expected resentment. Instead, the warlord kneeled in front of her. He lowered his head. "I came here to destroy you," he said, "to prove that humans were nothing special. But you have shown me something today. You have shown me what true warrior spirit looks like. It is not about size or strength, or how many arms you have. It is about heart. And you, small human, have more heart than anyone I have ever seen." He stood up and raised his voice so everyone could hear. "I, Thrak of the Gorthax Empire, declare Elena Chen a warrior worthy of respect. Any Gorthax who insults her, insults me." The crowd cheered even louder. Admiral Zorn approached. He looked at Elena with his large black eyes. "You have done more than win a tournament," he said. "You have changed the galaxy. From this day forward, humans will be seen differently. Not as primitives, not as newcomers, but as equals." Elena tried to stand. Kira appeared and helped her up. "How do you feel?" Kira asked. "Like I was hit by a spaceship," Elena said. "But also good. Really good." In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Humans were invited to higher positions in the galactic military. Human martial arts schools opened across the galaxy. Aliens came to Earth to learn the techniques that Elena had demonstrated. Elena returned to the academy as an instructor. She taught dual-wielding to students of all species. It turned out that any species could learn it if they trained hard enough. The Volari were especially good at it. Vexlar visited her class one day. He watched her teach with pride in his eyes. "You proved me wrong," he said. "I said no species could dual-wield. You defined cannot very clearly." Elena smiled. "You were not completely wrong, instructor. Most people cannot dual-wield. But cannot does not mean impossible. It just means that no one has succeeded yet. That is a very human way of thinking." "Yes," Elena agreed. "It is." Thren, the Gorthax who had once bullied her, became one of her best students. He worked harder than anyone else. He wanted to prove that he could change too. One day he asked Elena why she had never been angry at him for the way he treated her. "Anger is easy," Elena said. "Understanding is hard. You were afraid of me because I was different. I cannot blame you for that. I can only show you that different does not mean bad." Thren nodded slowly. "Humans are strange," he said. "You forgive easily. You work hard. You never give up. How did your species survive long enough to reach the stars?" Elena laughed. "By being too stubborn to die." Years later, Elena Chen would be remembered as one of the most important figures in galactic history. Not because she was the strongest, not because she was the fastest, but because she showed everyone that impossible was just another word for not yet done. And whenever young warriors faced something that everyone said could not be done, they remembered her words. Define cannot. Maybe it just means no one has tried hard enough yet.